Hello, boys and girls. I'm so excited to be back with you. So we've been learning all about our different layers of the earth. We know our layers of the earth start with our crust on the outside, mantle, outer core, inner core. Now, today we're going to take a look at what happens with some of those different layers and some different things that happen on earth. So let's sit back and get ready to listen. So, ladies and gentlemen, oh, Hawaii. I just love this place. The land is beautiful, the people are friendly, and the weather is perfect. And the surfing, terrific. Personally, however, my favorite part of Hawaii is the volcanoes. If you like volcanoes, and all geologists do, then there really is no better place than Hawaii. When most people think of volcanoes, they think of the top blowing off and lava flowing out everywhere. Volcano activity actually comes in many different forms, not all of which are as spectacular as a mountaintop eruption. Hawaii is made up of 8 major islands, 7 of which no one lives. The islands of Hawaii were formed by volcano activity. In other words, if it weren't for volcanoes, Hawaii wouldn't be there at all. Hawaii is one of the best known volcano hotspots in the whole wide world. A hotspot is a place where there's continuous volcano activity for a long time. In Hawaii's case, the volcano activity started underwater. In fact, most volcano activity occurs underwater, deep down near the ocean floor. Down there, the crust is fairly thin, so it's easier for the magma to seep up from the mantle. When a volcano erupts underwater, the lava that is released cools very quickly. And over time, when we're talking millions of years, the lava piles up. This is what happened in Hawaii. Over time, the lava continuously erupted underwater from a hot spot and built up a pile that now reaches way from the deep of the ocean floor all the way to the ocean surface, where it then became dry land. Hawaii volcanoes erupt gradually or little by little. The lava bubbles and gurgles and sputters rather than shooting up all out of the earth at once. There is still plenty of volcano activity on some of Hawaii's island, which means the island chain is still growing. Now, let's compare the Hawaiian volcano to another type of volcano, the kind where the mountaintop explodes. This volcano erupted in the state of Washington, which is on the west coast of the United States. This is what Mount St. Helens looked like until the year 1980. Mount St. Helens proves that it is generally fairly easy to predict when a volcano will erupt. The hard part is figuring out when. Mount St. Helens has erupted many times over the course of 40,000 or so years. And during this time, the mountain's size and shape has changed. Magma is continually building up within Mount St. Helens. Unlike the magma in the Hawaiian volcanoes, however, the magma in this area is much stickier than the magma in Hawaii. So it does not just gurgle and sputter through little vents. Instead, the magma gets stuck and incredible pressure builds up within the mountain. And eventually the pressure becomes so intense that the mountain can't hold it anymore and boom. The eruption of Mount St. Helens was the most destructive volcano eruption in the U.S. history. Hundreds of homes were destroyed and thousands of acres of forest were leveled by this mighty volcano. In an instant, the top and one side of the mountain was literally blown away. Lava was not the main problem with Mount St. Helens. Rather, it was the huge amount of rock and ash that exploded into the air, as well as the landslides that followed as the mountain came crashing down the valley below. This is what Mount St. Helens looks like today. It is still high enough to reach above the clouds, but if you compare this to the first picture you saw, you can see that it is not the same mountain as it was before. Mount St. Helens has erupted several more times after that day in 1980 and still erupts occasionally to this day. Here is another place in the United States where there is lots of volcano activity. This place is called Yellowstone National Park. Yellowstone is mostly in Wyoming, with parts extending into Idaho and Montana. Yellowstone National Park is home to many interesting and beautiful sights. Like Hawaii, Yellowstone is right on top of a hot spot, a place where there is lots of magma close to the surface. In Yellowstone, the magma has stayed underground and has not erupted onto the surface. Yellowstone is famous for its geysers. A geyser is a rare event that occurs when water seeps through the cracks into the crust and meets up with the hot rocks of the mantle. When the water touches the hot rocks, it turns into steam. As more water seeps in, more steam is created, and the pressure begins to build. Eventually, all this heat and pressure forces the steam to find a way back out. As in other types of volcano activity that we've learned about, this process is caused by the buildup and release of that pressure underground. The result is a geyser, stream and water spewing up out of the earth. These particular geysers are relatively small. They spurt and bubble all day long in water pools or springs, which have a pretty bluish green color created by certain minerals that collect there. But there is a very famous geyser called Old Faithful. The word faithful means trustworthy and reliable. Old Faithful got its name because you can count on the fact that it is going to erupt several times each day. Now, it is not possible to predict exactly when it will erupt. However, it usually boils and blows its lid about every 90 minutes, give or take a few. Old Faithful spews out steam and hot water anywhere from 1 to 5 minutes. It can spew as much as 8,000 gallons of water up into the air about 180 feet high. Every day during the summer when the park is full of visitors, hundreds of people gather around to watch this world's most famous geyser. Although they come in many forms, shapes, and sizes, all volcanoes and geysers have two things in common. They are the Earth's way of releasing heat and pressure from deep underground, and each one tells us a little more about the history of the Earth. And one other thing, all volcanoes and geysers are extremely hot, so always keep a safe distance and admire them from afar. Have a great day, boys and girls.